We're back here on CBS Sports HQ, where the longest playoff streak in the NFC belongs to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 5 straight appearances and 4 straight NFC South titles as you take a look at the most consecutive playoff appearances in the league. Now, quarterback Baker Mayfield is coming off his best season in the NFL, but he's getting yet another new offensive coordinator with Liam Coen now headed to Jacksonville to be their next head coach. Josh Grizzard is taking over after spending 1 season as pass game coordinator last year. But, you know, listen, this isn't anything new for Baker Mayfield, because dating back to Mayfield's first season in the NFL, he has now had 7 different offensive coordinators. Grizzard will be his 8th. Now, our own Pete Prisco spent some time with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa earlier this week, and he has the very latest for us as we inch closer and closer to the start of the 2025 season. Let's go ahead and start here, Pete, with Baker Mayfield. We are hearing that he reportedly moved from Texas to Florida to work with Grizzard on tweaking the offense even more to his liking. So with that kind of being said, it seems like they're hitting the ground running. Do you think losing Coen is going to have that much of an impact?
No, but the one thing about Grizzard is he's never called plays before any point in his career. So it's an adjustment, and that's why I think Baker Mayfield's really involved. Look, 2 years ago when Dave Canales was the offensive coordinator, Baker Mayfield didn't do a lot at the line of scrimmage. That's not what they asked him to do. Last year with Liam Coen, they asked him to do a lot more at the line of scrimmage. He will continue to do that under Josh Grizzard. So, look, they feel comfortable with each other. They're allowing him to call plays in certain drills and certain time slots during practice to get used to it. But it's going to be an adjustment. When a guy hasn't called plays in the NFL, as smart as he is, and by the way, he graduated from Yale, as smart as he is, it's going to be an adjustment. But I think the best thing about that, Baker Mayfield has every starter back on the offense, every single one. And that will make it a lot easier on him. As he told me, he said, look, when I come to the line of scrimmage and I call out a check and check to a play because of a certain blitz, guys are going to know what to do. They're not going to be thinking, they're going to be reacting, and that's where we have a little bit of advantage over some of the other offenses in the NFL.
I want to go ahead and play off that point because, as you mentioned, this offense top 4 in both passing and rushing last season. They have brought everyone back, and they've added some new young talent via the draft in Emeka Egbuka. What is the ceiling for that side of the ball?
Well, one thing they can do is score points, and they will score points. And as Baker Mayfield said, look, the offense will still go through the run game with Bucky Irvin and Rachaad White and Mike Evans, no matter what they've added. And by the way, he raved about Egbuka. He said he came in, he handled himself like a pro right away. But the offense will revolve around the run game and Mike Evans like it did last year, and I think they'll continue to do that. But I think this offense can be explosive. One thing, well, a couple things they want Baker Mayfield to cut down on. They want him to cut down on his running, and when I asked him about that, or at least be safer in the pocket, not take as many hits, he kind of said, hey, it's football. And look, I can be smarter on the sideline, but if the game is on the line, I'm going to take off if I have to and go make a play. And that's who he is. He's a competitor. As far as the other thing they want him to cut down on, interceptions. He had 16 last year. And he said when you go back and study them, some of them were bad decisions. Some of them were trying to do too much. And he understands why they want him to cut it down. I think he will. They'll be better because they'll have additions. You know, you talk about Egbuka, but I think Bucky Irvin in his second year will be big. Graham Barton at center in his second year will be big. So I think the offense is going to be explosive. They want to get more big plays out of it. I think they can.
All right, let's go ahead and switch gears and get to the defensive side of the ball. Excuse me. They have a couple of rookie cornerbacks making an impact in camp. What are you hearing about Benjamin Morrison, Jacob Parrish pushing for some starting spots?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all in talking to people around that team, and they raved about those rookie corners. Jacob Parrish getting a lot of work in the slot. They moved Tyke Smith to safety. He's going to pair with Antoine Winfield to give him a nice combination back there. Both guys can really run. Both guys can tackle. Both guys are good in the run game. So I think you got to find a nickel corner, and I think Jacob Parrish has a chance to be that guy. You know, and even I asked Baker Mayfield about him. He said he did some things in practice that rookies don't do. He kind of baited him in one zone situation, and so I think they're high on him. And Benjamin Morrison, coming off an injury at Notre Dame, if he hadn't had the injury, he might have been a first-round pick. I think Jamal Dean will open as the starter, but he's going to get pushed by Benjamin Morrison. That's going to make that secondary a lot better.
Defense was Hassan Ridgeway, who sat out the first 7 games for the Jets last season. We do understand, Pete, that he's not at OTAs. What's the word there about his absence and what they really expect from him moving forward?
Yeah, they don't care if he's there. Okay. I mean, and talking to the people in the organization, they don't care one bit. They know he's working out. He's been around a little bit. He just hasn't taken part in the OTA days. They need him. They need him to be productive. When you look at the other side, Yaya Diaby had a lot of pressures, but didn't get the guy on the ground. I mean, he needs to get more sacks. And I think having somebody on the other side will help that. You can't slide the protection that way. Last year, Diaby had a lot of protection slid his way, had to deal with a lot of double teams, tight ends helping out, chips by the back, and that was an adjustment for him. So I think getting Reddick going is important. We know they're going to be good on the interior. Vita Vea is a monster on the inside, and you also look at what Kalijah Kancey could do when he's been on the field. So the defensive line can be good. Another guy to keep an eye out on, David Walker, their 4th-round pick. He's a guy from small school, Central Arkansas. He's been wowing them in practice. Now, it's no pads, but he's been wowing them with his ability to get up the field and attack the quarterback.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that as we get closer and closer to training camp. We know you'll keep us posted. Now, the Bucs eyeing yet another NFC South title. It just seems to be their thing year after year. They have 3 road games, though, against division winners from last season. What's your prediction, Pete?
Well, I think they're going to go 12-5 and win a division again. I don't think this is a great division. You look at the Saints; they got a lot of transition. They got quarterback questions. You look at the Panthers; they might be a little bit better, but there's still questions about Bryce Young. And Atlanta could be the team that pushes them in the division. But I think this Bucs team is better. I think they're better than they were a year ago. I think they go 12-5, and I think they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender. And by the way, if they do make that push to get there and get close, or even get there and maybe even win it, Baker Mayfield's in for an enormous payday. I mean, he's scheduled to make $33 million is the average of his salary right now. He's in the bottom of the league, and there's only a few starting quarterbacks other than the rookies who make less than him. So Baker Mayfield has a big year. It's going to be money time for him.
Ooh, all right, we'll wait and see. Well, as you take a look at their 2025 schedule, you got 4 primetime games. That's something. But as you kind of look at these opponents, look at the schedule, how it's really laid out, Pete, who do you have them losing to on this?
Well, I mean, look, I haven't gone through and picked exactly who they're losing to because I think there's a lot of games that they could be iffy on. But
right.
One thing that I did stand out from that schedule to me was the back end of it. It's favorable. You look at the back end of that. They have Carolina twice at the back end of that schedule. They get Arizona at home in the back end of that schedule. I think there's a lot of winnable games down the stretch. If they can navigate through the tough part of that schedule without suffering a lot of losses, which I don't think they will do, by the way, I think they have a real chance to get hot at the end and on into the postseason. All
right, in their favor, 12-5 prediction for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from our own Pete Prisco as we get closer and closer to the 2025 NFL season. Always great to see you, my friend. And Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a contender. How about that for the Super Bowl? You can get more NFL news, all the highlights and scores, of course, when the season begins, right here on CBS Sports HQ. It's all here, and it's all free.